Hello, everyone. Accreditation deception and the price of collaboration. This is going to be a long video, probably all 10 minutes. But just listen to this. If you're ANAB accredited business or their international equivalent, the American National Crediting Board, was taken over completely by the American National Standards Institute in 2018. Ladies and gentlemen, business owners across America and beyond, I want your full attention because what I'm about to tell you is the unvarnished truth. I want your full attention. If your company is accredited by ANAB or any of their international equivalents, you are knowingly or not paying into a system that fuels terrorism. That's not an exaggeration, that's a fact. From 2015 through 2021, the International Accreditation Forum, which was founded by ANSI-ANAB in Delaware, its sister organization, IALAC, the International Laboratory Accreditation Cooperation in Australia, they are both associations of accreditation bodies, national and international equivalent in accreditation to ANSI-ANAB, who are also their underwriters. So from 2015, that means they take full legal responsibility for any systematic or product failure. The International Accreditation Forum, the very backbone of global accredited certification, was chaired by a Chinese Communist national, Zhao Jinwu, and not just anyone, bound by China National Intelligence Law, Article number 7, which mandates that all Chinese citizens must turn over data when requested by their government. He was on board in America from 2015 to 21. Let that sink in. That means your company's data, your processes, your infrastructure were potentially being funneled straight to the hands of the Chinese Communist Party. He also certified the laboratory in Wuhan, China, ill-prepared laboratory. Now I want you to picture this, and here it is, that the same individual stood inside the Wuhan laboratory issuing a fraudulent certification. 6 months before that certification, the scientists themselves admitted that the lab wasn't ready. Not enough trained technicians, not enough safeguards. 6 months after the certification, when U.S. specialists went there, the same scientists repeated the same concern. They still didn't have enough trained technicians, the first line of defense to contain any potential viral outbreak. And now, let me bring forward Pamela Sale. She is the vice president of laboratory accreditation for ANSI-ANAB, confirmed that insiders like myself already knew that the lab certification systematically was fundamentally broken. Her exact words: one of the issues is that there is no commonly agreed upon set of standards that forensic labs around the country have to follow. Instead, there are informal guidelines that labs can choose to follow or not. Think about that, ladies and gentlemen. If there were no enforced standards in U.S. laboratories, why on earth would you expect rigorous oversight at foreign laboratories like at Wuhan? The system was never built to ensure safety. It was built to appear credible while failing at its most crucial duty, protecting lives. And we all know what happened next, don't we? So when you pay for your certification, your surveillance audit, your recertification audit, you're not just paying for a piece of paper. You're paying for the next tragedy, the next bullet, the next bomb, the next lab leak, the next death. Every dollar spent on the corrupt accreditation network strengthens the very systems that threaten our nation and our allies. Even October 7th, every attack on our innocent people, ask yourself, did your money help build the machinery that funded that evil? And yet, you still hang the American flag outside your building. If you're still paying into this system, you might as well replace the flag with a communist flag, because because that's who you're serving. It's time to face the truth. ANSI-ANAB and their international equivalents are not protectors of quality. They are its destroyers. They are the shadow network behind the global manipulation disguised as quality assurance. Let's talk about Boeing, shall we? After 9/11, they announced massive layoffs, 20 to 30,000 workers, but within months, they issued 2 supplier bulletins. April 2002, NADCAP certification through Performance Review Institute for special process, heat treat, welding, non-destructive testing, critical applications. And they said, send in your cert, send your parts, basically, and if need arises or need be, we'll come see you. And we're getting rid of redundant inspections. There's no such thing as redundant inspections in quality. So let me tell you this, okay? The redundant inspection would be sending a Boeing inspector out to their supplier. In July 2002, they were requiring AS9100 certification accredited by ANAB and its international equivalent bodies. And what countries did these equivalents include? Iran, Pakistan, China. You remember them? Iran and Pakistan, they admitted to harboring some of the terrorists of 9/11. Pakistan, who harbored Osama bin Laden, they can come to your facility because they're equivalent to ANSI-ANAB. Don't let anybody kid you. It's not allowed by our government. Don't worry about that. That's right. Boeing, one of the America's greatest aerospace icons, opened its supplier portal to accreditation systems connected to adversarial nations. Even more stunning, Boeing was never certified themselves to AS9100 for 22 years, yet they demanded it from everyone else. They sat on ANAB's Management System Accreditation Committee, a body that could grant, suspend, and withdraw certification while never being certified themselves. That, my friends, is corporate fraud. Plain and simple. I spent October 2024, a year ago, on the ground at Boeing's facilities, Everett, Renton, Auburn, and Northfield, speaking with employees at every level. They told me about parts that didn't fit the aircraft, paperwork scattered and incomplete, documentation missing from entire builds, management that was nowhere to be seen. I asked them if they ever saw CEOs Dennis Muhlenberg or David Calhoun. They said, who? That's how disconnected management has become in reality. I asked also the same employees a few questions. Are you AS9100 certified for aerospace? They said, I don't know what that is. I asked, have you ever participated in an audit? They said, what's that? Now, let me remind you, back in 2024, June, Elizabeth Lund, former Boeing's Vice President of Quality, publicly stated that Boeing was fully compliant to AS9100 and they conducted rigorous internal audits. So who's lying? This disconnect is eerily reminiscent of what the FAA did in 2009, when Boeing was effectively made an agent of the FAA, an agency empowered to self-certify its own aircraft, including the MCAS system, aircraft technologies that led to the deaths of 346 people in the Ethiopian and Indonesian flights and aircraft designs. 10 years later, in 2019, after both crashes, an FAA spokesperson came forward and said, we never allow companies to police themselves or self-certify. But they did, and they paid for it in blood. And here we are again, repeating history. Boeing used to represent the pinnacle of American engineering. Now it's a symbol of what happens when quality is policed, replaced by politics. When integrity is replaced by illusion, and when leadership hides behind false accreditation instead of facing hard facts and the truth. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Boeing can recover, America can recover, but only if we have the courage to root out the corruption at its source. And that source starts with you, business owners, engineers, auditors, quality managers, who have the power to say no more. Don't let your money, your hard work, your name, or your family's legacy be tied to a system that feeds the enemies of freedom. You deserve better. America deserves better. And I'm here today, as I stood in DHS, as I've stood before Congress, as I've stood in the face of threats and intimidation, to tell you this: the truth is not for sale. Quality is not a commodity, and integrity must always come first. And that's a fact. So if you're paying for an accredited certificate by ANAB, it's a fraud. Doesn't matter what register you have, if you're paying for a certificate that's accredited by one of their international equivalents on IAF and ILAC, which will soon be Global AC in January. They're bringing those two together to try to hide this 22-year fraud that Boeing and ANAB perpetrated on you suppliers of AS9100. Daryl, I don't want to bite the hand that feeds me, Daryl. I don't want to bite. Well, let me tell you something. You're biting the hand that's fucking you, and I can use that term because Donald Trump made it in the international pastime. It's now in the Webster Dictionary of Federal Words. Yes, and his Deputy Secretary of Defense, Patrick Shanahan, you can look it up. Look it up. 2017, Patrick Shanahan, who's now the CEO of Spirit Aerospace Systems, said, when asked about the F-35, it's fucked up. So you know something, ladies and gentlemen? You can be deceitful. You can go for this. Put up a Chinese flag in front of your company because that's what you deserve. ANAB is a fraud, and I bring that out to you. I'm telling you a fact. They have not brought this forward. They have not brought me forward. And if they do, as an attorney said of 40 years to me in an email, he said, Daryl, both state and federal courtrooms are no more than blue smoke and mirrors. My number is 203-556-1493. 203-556-1493. We have